Stoicism, an ancient philosophy that has guided countless individuals through hardship, teaches that the mind is the most powerful force we possess. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your most dangerous enemy. Every decision you make, every thought you cultivate, every emotion you allow to dominate your spirit is filtered through the workings of your mind. If your mind is disciplined, trained, and oriented toward wisdom, it will lead you to success, peace, and self-mastery. But if your mind is left unchecked, consumed by fear, anger, envy, or desire, it will eventually destroy you from within. A Stoic understands that external events cannot control us, but our interpretations of those events shape our reality. Success and failure are not primarily about what happens to you, but about how your mind processes those experiences. Imagine two individuals facing the same setback. One sees it as an obstacle that ends his journey, while the other views it as a challenge to grow stronger. The event is identical, but the outcome is vastly different because of the mind. In Stoicism, the battlefield of life is not out there in the external world. It is within you. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that people would insult, betray, or oppose him. Yet he also reminded himself that his mind held the choice to remain calm and virtuous regardless. Thus, the mind can either lead you to greatness or drag you into misery. The choice truly is yours. Every moment is an opportunity to decide whether your thoughts will serve you or enslave you. The Stoics often compared the mind to a garden. If you plant seeds of wisdom, patience, and courage, you will harvest peace, clarity, and resilience. But if you allow weeds of envy, greed, and fear to take root, they will spread rapidly and choke the life out of your spirit. Your mind is not neutral. It is constantly being cultivated by your environment, your habits, and your choices. If you do not consciously decide what to feed your mind, it will be shaped by whatever random influences surround you: gossip, negativity, or shallow distractions. A Stoic takes responsibility for this cultivation. Epictetus taught that we cannot control what others say or do, but we can control what we allow into our inner world. Just as a gardener pulls weeds daily to protect the flowers, you must identify and uproot harmful thoughts before they dominate your perspective. If you constantly dwell on what you lack, you will feel impoverished even in abundance. If you train your mind to focus on what you can control, you will feel empowered even in adversity. Success in life is not luck or chance. It is the natural outcome of a disciplined mind, just as a beautiful garden is the result of consistent care. Neglect your mind, and chaos will grow. Care for it wisely, and you will flourish. The choice remains yours. In modern society, success is often equated with wealth, fame, or status, but the Stoics redefined success in a way that is timeless and unshakable. True success, they argued, lies in living a virtuous life, one guided by wisdom, courage, justice, and self-control. External achievements can disappear in an instant. Fortunes are lost, reputations are destroyed, and careers collapse. But the strength of your mind and character cannot be taken from you unless you surrender them. Therefore, the mind is the true measure of success. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who was the emperor of Rome yet constantly reminded himself that power meant nothing without virtue. He could have been intoxicated by authority, yet he disciplined his mind to remain humble and just. Compare this to a modern example: someone who gains immense wealth but is enslaved by greed and anxiety. Outwardly, they may appear successful, but inwardly they are miserable. Which one has truly succeeded? Stoicism teaches that if your mind is free from destructive emotions and focused on living in harmony with nature and reason, you are successful regardless of external circumstances. Success is not found in outcomes you cannot fully control, but in the mastery of your own mind. Your mind can transform setbacks into opportunities, pain into strength, and obstacles into lessons. That is why Stoics say, the obstacle is the way. It is the mind that turns defeat into victory, or victory into ruin. While the mind can elevate you, it also has the terrifying power to destroy you if left unguarded. Many people live as prisoners of their own thoughts, tormented by fear of the future or regrets of the past. Depression, anxiety, envy, and rage all originate in the mind's interpretations of reality. The Stoics warned that most suffering does not come from external events, but from how we think about them. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the view which they take of them." This means your suffering is not about what happens, but about the story your mind tells you about what happens. A broken relationship can either be interpreted as a tragedy that defines your life or as an opportunity to learn, grow, and rebuild stronger. Financial loss can either crush you with despair or awaken creativity and resilience. If you allow your mind to dwell in negative interpretations, it will poison every experience and drag you deeper into misery. Worse, destructive thoughts tend to multiply, creating a cycle of suffering. One negative belief invites another, until the mind becomes a storm of chaos. This is how people who appear to have it all can still feel empty, anxious, or self-destructive. Without discipline, the mind turns against itself. The choice is yours. Will you train your mind to interpret life in a way that serves you? Or will you let it enslave you with fear and despair? If the mind can lead to success or destruction, the obvious question is, how do we train it? The Stoics provided practical methods to strengthen the mind against destructive tendencies. Daily reflection was one of their key practices. Marcus Aurelius kept a journal, not for others to read, but to remind himself of Stoic principles and discipline his thinking. You can do the same. Write down your thoughts, examine them, and question whether they are aligned with reason and virtue. Another powerful practice is negative visualization, imagining the loss of things you value, not to create despair, but to strengthen gratitude and prepare your mind for change. This prevents you from being shattered when life inevitably takes something away. Stoics also emphasized control, distinguish between what is in your power and what is not. Once you focus only on what you can control, your thoughts, actions, and responses, you free yourself from the torment of trying to control the uncontrollable. Finally, practice voluntary discomfort. Challenge yourself with small hardships like cold showers, fasting, or physical exertion. This builds resilience and reminds you that comfort is not necessary for peace of mind. By training daily in these ways, your mind becomes disciplined, strong, and unshakable. Without training, it becomes weak, chaotic, and destructive. The choice is always in your hands. The Stoics believed that true freedom is not the absence of external control, but the mastery of the inner world. You can be imprisoned, stripped of wealth, or surrounded by hostile people, yet still remain free if your mind refuses to be enslaved. Epictetus himself was born a slave, yet he taught some of the most powerful lessons on freedom and self-mastery. Why? Because he understood that no one can chain your thoughts unless you allow it. Modern life provides countless examples of this truth. Someone might live in comfort with wealth, luxury, and privilege but still feel trapped by envy, greed, or anxiety. Another may live with very little but feel a profound sense of peace because their mind is free from toxic desires. Freedom is not given by society or taken away by hardship. It is a choice of the mind. If you attach your peace to fragile external conditions, you will live in constant fear of loss. But if your peace is rooted in the strength of your mind, no one can steal it. This is why Marcus Aurelius, despite being an emperor with immense responsibility and endless challenges, could write, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Your mind will either grant you the highest freedom or enslave you in invisible chains of fear, anger, and craving. The choice rests with you." One of the most overlooked yet powerful aspects of the mind is self-talk. The constant dialogue you carry with yourself. The words you speak internally shape your emotions, beliefs, and actions. If your self-talk is filled with doubt, self-criticism, and fear, your mind will gradually weaken, and you will sabotage your own growth. On the other hand, if your self-talk reflects discipline, encouragement, and reason, you will build an unshakable foundation of inner strength. The Stoics emphasized awareness of inner dialogue. Marcus Aurelius used his journal to remind himself of reason, justice, and humility, almost as if he were coaching himself daily. You can do the same by consciously shaping your inner voice. For example, when faced with failure, instead of saying, "I am worthless," you could say, "This is an opportunity to learn what I must improve." When facing adversity, instead of saying, "This is unbearable," you can tell yourself, "This is difficult, but I have endured worse and can endure again." Over time, these repeated affirmations reprogram your mind. But the opposite is also true. Repeated negative self-talk strengthens destructive patterns. In many cases, people fail not because the world opposes them, but because their own mind convinces them they cannot succeed. Thus, self-talk is the silent architect of your destiny. It can either elevate you toward greatness or bury you in despair. The choice is in your daily words to yourself. Life will always present obstacles, illness, betrayal, financial struggles, loss, or failure. The question is not whether you will face challenges, but how your mind will interpret them. For the Stoics, external challenges were not enemies, but training grounds for the mind. Marcus Aurelius wrote that just as fire consumes obstacles and turns them into fuel, so too can the disciplined mind use difficulties to grow stronger. If you see every setback as evidence that life is unfair, your mind will weaken and collapse under pressure. But if you see challenges as opportunities for growth, your mind will transform adversity into wisdom. Imagine two people losing their jobs. One sinks into despair, convinced that his life is over. The other sees it as a chance to reinvent himself, acquire new skills, and build a better future. The event is the same, but the interpretation makes all the difference. This is why the Stoics practiced what we call amor fati, the love of fate. They did not merely tolerate hardships. They embraced them as part of the natural order, as opportunities to practice virtue. This mindset turns life's inevitable difficulties into stepping stones toward strength. Your mind can either interpret challenges as fuel for success or as reasons for destruction. The event is neutral, the meaning is chosen, and the choice is yours. Another area where the mind decides your fate is in your emotional life. Emotions themselves are not enemies. They are natural human responses, but when they are left unchecked, they can dominate and destroy you. Anger can ruin relationships, fear can paralyze opportunities, envy can corrode gratitude, and desire can lead to self-destruction. The Stoics did not preach suppression of emotions but mastery of them. They believed emotions are the result of judgments made by the mind. If you believe something terrible has happened, you will feel despair. If you see it as an opportunity, you will feel courage. Thus, the key to emotional mastery is not fighting emotions directly, but correcting the judgments that give rise to them. For instance, instead of telling yourself, "This insult is unbearable," a Stoic would say, "This insult is nothing more than words. It cannot harm my character." By reframing the judgment, the destructive emotion loses its grip. Over time, this practice builds equanimity, a calm, steady mind regardless of external storms. With emotional mastery, your mind becomes a fortress that nothing can shake. Without it, your mind becomes a battlefield where emotions wage endless war. Emotional chaos will destroy you. Emotional discipline will lead you to peace and strength. Once again, the decision belongs to you. Just as athletes train their bodies daily to remain strong, a Stoic trains the mind daily to remain resilient. Success or destruction does not come from one dramatic event, but from the small, repeated habits of thought. Marcus Aurelius did not become wise overnight. He disciplined his mind daily, writing reflections, questioning assumptions, and reminding himself of Stoic principles. Similarly, you cannot expect to build a strong mind if you never practice mental discipline. Small, consistent actions, such as journaling, practicing gratitude, meditating on mortality, and distinguishing between what you can and cannot control, gradually build an unshakable mindset. Without training, the mind naturally drifts toward fear, laziness, and distraction, just as a body left unused becomes weak. A mind left untrained becomes vulnerable. Many people feed their minds with endless distractions, gossip, or shallow entertainment, yet expect to remain strong in the face of adversity. This is impossible. You cannot build strength without deliberate practice. Daily training is not optional, it is necessary if you want your mind to lead you to success rather than destroy you. Think of each day as a test. Will your thoughts be guided by reason and virtue, or will they be captured by impulse and fear? The result of your life is nothing more than the accumulation of those daily choices. An undisciplined mind is like a wild horse, powerful but dangerous, capable of causing more harm than good. The Stoics warn that if you do not take charge of your thoughts, they will take charge of you. When the mind is left unchecked, it easily falls into destructive cycles: overthinking, fear of the unknown, constant comparison, and uncontrolled desire. These habits grow silently, just like weeds in a neglected garden, until they overwhelm you. Many people live as slaves to impulses without realizing it. They wake up each day consumed by fear of what others think, chasing pleasures that never satisfy, or avoiding discomfort at all costs. Over time, this weakens character and erodes inner peace. An undisciplined mind will sabotage success because it cannot resist temptation, cannot stay focused, and cannot endure challenges. Imagine someone starting a project with passion, but giving up at the first sign of difficulty. The failure is not due to lack of opportunity, but lack of mental discipline. On the other hand, a disciplined mind can stay calm under stress, resist destructive urges, and keep moving forward despite obstacles. The Stoics believe this discipline is not optional, it is survival. Life is full of trials, and without a strong mind, you will be crushed by them. Thus, the greatest danger is not the hardship outside, but the weakness inside. Train the mind, or it will destroy you. The choice is yours. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics offered was the ability to shift perspective. How you view an event determines how you feel and how you act. The same situation can be either a tragedy or a blessing, depending on your perspective. Marcus Aurelius constantly reminded himself that life's difficulties were opportunities to practice virtue. By changing the frame, he changed the experience. This art of perspective is what allows the mind to lead you to success rather than destruction. For example, if someone insults you, you can see it as an attack on your worth, or as a test of your patience. If you fail at a task, you can see it as proof of your incompetence, or as valuable feedback to improve. The Stoics believed that nothing has inherent meaning except the meaning the mind assigns to it. This gives you immense power. You cannot always control what happens, but you can always control how you interpret it. Even death, the ultimate event feared by many, was reframed by Stoics as natural, inevitable, and not to be feared. Perspective is the lens of the mind, and you choose which lens to use. Choose wisely, and your mind will guide you to peace and success. Choose poorly, and the same life will feel like endless suffering. Perspective is destiny. A mind rooted in gratitude is resilient, while a mind rooted in entitlement is fragile. Stoicism places great emphasis on appreciating what you have instead of constantly yearning for what you lack. Gratitude turns your attention away from endless desire and anchors it in the present. Marcus Aurelius often wrote about being grateful for the simple gifts of life, the ability to breathe, to think, to act justly, and to live in accordance with nature. By practicing gratitude, you train your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity, which strengthens you against despair. On the other hand, entitlement blinds you to blessings and convinces you that happiness is always just one possession, one achievement, or one relationship away. This mindset ensures permanent dissatisfaction, no matter how much you gain. Gratitude, however, frees you from this trap by teaching you that you already have enough. Consider two people with the same income. One feels poor because he constantly compares himself to the richer, while the other feels wealthy because he focuses on what he can provide for his family. The difference is not in money but in mindset. Gratitude strengthens the mind, making it more resilient in hard times and more peaceful in good times. Without gratitude, the mind destroys itself through envy and endless craving. The choice is simple: live with appreciation and succeed, or live with dissatisfaction and be destroyed from within. Resilience is the ability to endure hardship without breaking, and it is one of the greatest gifts of a disciplined mind. Stoicism teaches that resilience is not about suppressing pain, but about embracing it as part of life. Pain, loss, and hardship are inevitable, but suffering is optional because it depends on the judgments of the mind. A resilient person does not deny difficulty, but accepts it calmly, understanding that it is temporary and survivable. This attitude transforms the way you experience adversity. Instead of asking, "Why me?" a Stoic asks, "How can I use this to grow?" This mental shift changes despair into strength. Building resilience requires consistent practice, exposing yourself to small challenges, reflecting on past struggles, and reminding yourself that you have survived before and can survive again. Over time, these practices harden your mind like steel tempered in fire. The untrained mind, however, crumbles at the first sign of difficulty, amplifying pain into despair. This is why some people thrive in crisis, while others collapse under pressure. It is not fate, but the strength of the mind that makes the difference. A resilient mind will lead you to success because nothing can permanently defeat you. A fragile mind will destroy you because every obstacle becomes unbearable. The choice is yours, and it is made in daily training. Ultimately, the central teaching of Stoicism is self-mastery. You cannot control the world, but you can control yourself. Self-mastery means governing your desires, emotions, and thoughts so they serve reason and virtue instead of impulse. A person without self-mastery is like a ship without a captain, pushed by every wind, tossed by every wave. But a person with self-mastery is steady, directed, and unshakable, no matter how violent the storm. The Stoics believe that mastering the self is the highest form of success because it is the foundation for everything else. With self-mastery, you can remain calm in conflict, courageous in danger, just in power, and content in poverty. Without it, you may achieve wealth, fame, or power, but still live as a slave to your passions and fears. Self-mastery is built through discipline, reflection, and constant practice. It is not about suppressing who you are, but about becoming who you are meant to be: rational, virtuous, and free. The mind is the tool through which self-mastery is achieved, but it can also be the weapon that destroys you if neglected. Every day you are either training for mastery or surrendering to chaos. Success or destruction flows from this choice. The Stoics leave no doubt. Your destiny begins and ends in your own mind. The Stoics taught that destiny is not carved in stone by external forces, but shaped by the quality of your mind. Life presents you with countless situations, but how you respond defines your path. Your mind is the architect of your destiny, creating either a palace of peace or a prison of despair. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that events outside are neither good nor bad. They are raw material. It is your mind that shapes them into success or failure. For example, two soldiers may return from war with the same physical scars, yet one finds meaning, courage, and gratitude while the other falls into bitterness and self-destruction. The difference lies not in what happened, but in the interpretation of the mind. Your destiny is built moment by moment in the choices of thought. Whether you focus on what you can control or waste energy on what you cannot, whether you nurture gratitude or resentment, whether you act with virtue or surrender to vice, the untrained mind believes destiny is imposed from outside, but the wise Stoic knows destiny is crafted from within. This realization gives you immense responsibility. Every thought you cultivate either brings you closer to success or closer to destruction. In the end, fate delivers events, but your mind decides whether those events will refine you or ruin you. The choice is yours. One of the greatest sources of human suffering is the illusion of control, the belief that we can shape everything around us to fit our desires. The Stoics dismantled this illusion by teaching that most of life is beyond our control: weather, fortune, other people's actions, even our own bodies to some degree. Yet, they also revealed a liberating truth. While the external is uncontrollable, the internal, our judgments, desires, and choices, remains fully within our command. A weak mind wastes energy trying to dominate the uncontrollable, creating frustration and despair when reality does not cooperate. A disciplined mind, however, focuses only on what can be controlled and accepts the rest with serenity. This mindset transforms your relationship with life. Instead of fighting reality, you flow with it, adapting while maintaining your inner strength. For instance, you cannot control whether someone respects you, but you can control whether you act with respect toward others. You cannot control the economy, but you can control how you manage your effort and discipline. The illusion of control leads to destruction because it ties your peace to outcomes you cannot guarantee. But embracing Stoic wisdom leads to freedom, as your mind no longer resists what it cannot change. Your energy is invested where it matters most, your own character. That is why the Stoics said, freedom is the recognition of necessity. Your mind can either fight against reality and destroy you, or align with it and set you free. For the Stoics, the highest purpose of the mind was to live in accordance with virtue. Success was not measured by wealth, fame, or pleasure, but by whether your mind remained aligned with wisdom, justice, courage, and self-control. Without virtue, even the sharpest mind becomes destructive, for intelligence without morality often leads to corruption, greed, or cruelty. A disciplined mind uses reason not to manipulate, but to uplift, not to dominate, but to live harmoniously. Virtue transforms the mind into a compass that always points toward true north, no matter how confusing life becomes. Imagine a leader who possesses power but lacks virtue. His mind becomes a weapon of tyranny, destroying not only himself but also his people. Contrast this with a humble philosopher who owns little but lives with justice and courage. His mind becomes a light for others, a source of true success. Virtue is not an abstract ideal. It is practical guidance for everyday choices. When tempted by anger, justice tells you to forgive. When afraid, courage tells you to act. When distracted by pleasure, self-control guides you back to discipline. And when confused, wisdom helps you see clearly. Your mind becomes destructive if it ignores virtue, but it becomes your greatest ally when guided by it. Thus, Stoicism insists virtue is the path to true success, and the mind is the tool through which virtue is practiced. Every human life is a battlefield between the higher and lower mind. The higher mind seeks wisdom, peace, and virtue, while the lower mind seeks comfort, indulgence, and immediate gratification. The Stoics recognized this eternal battle and urged us to take command of our inner world before it consumes us. Every day you face this battle in small choices. Do you wake early to work on your purpose, or do you stay in bed and surrender to laziness? Do you respond with patience to insult, or do you lash out in anger? Do you endure discomfort to grow stronger, or do you avoid it and remain weak? Each decision strengthens either the higher or the lower mind. Over time, these small victories or defeats shape the entire direction of your life. If you consistently feed the lower mind, you will find yourself enslaved by destructive habits, regret, and wasted potential. But if you discipline yourself to serve the higher mind, you will live with clarity, resilience, and inner peace. The battle never truly ends. There will always be temptation, anger, or fear. Yet, each moment offers a chance to choose again. The Stoics remind us that success is not perfection but persistence in this battle. Your mind can either lead you to victory in the war within or betray you into destruction. The general of this army is you. The battlefield is your own thoughts. The outcome depends entirely on your discipline. In the end, the message of Stoicism is simple, but profound. Your mind is the master key to life. It can open the doors to peace, wisdom, and success, or it can lock you inside a prison of fear, anger, and despair. No external power holds this key, only you. The Stoics strip away excuses by showing that while you cannot control what life gives you, you can always control how your mind responds. This is the ultimate choice, repeated daily. Will you let your mind guide you toward virtue, discipline, and freedom, or will you let it destroy you with vice, chaos, and weakness? Success is not about luck or circumstance, but about the alignment of your thoughts with reason and virtue. Destruction is not about fate, but about surrendering your mind to disorder. At every moment, you are choosing between these two paths. The choice may seem small. How you react to an insult, how you handle discomfort, how you manage desire. But the accumulation of choices builds the life you live. The Stoics remind us that greatness is within reach for anyone willing to master their mind. But they also warn that ruin is certain for anyone who neglects it. The question remains, which path will you choose? Your mind will lead you to success or destroy you. The choice, as it has always been, is entirely yours.